All right, folks, welcome back to Nino's Corner.tv. I got Jonathan Otto once again, and I got to tell you, Jonathan, I am thoroughly impressed with the red light panels, the red light therapy. Dude, I wish I would have had this during my boxing career. I wish I would have had this at least. Was this technology even around 10 years ago? Because I
Yeah,
feel
it
like I'm
was,
just
but it
getting,
wasn't as common.
okay, because I'm
It
just getting
was.
turned. I've seen it at clinics and I've seen it in other places, but I've never ever in my life used it until the last 3 weeks I've been using it, and I can't believe the energy I have. I can't believe how good I feel emotionally. I use it at night, and can you overdo it on this stuff? Because I'm using it twice a day now. I was using it 3 times a week. Now
That
I'm using it twice a day.
that's amazing. No, twice a day is definitely like you're at that upper echelon of that's kind of like the cap because you're probably doing what 30 minutes twice a day.
I'm doing about 15 minutes twice a day, but what I'm doing is I have it set up over my couch where I could just lay down like a tanning bed. And bro, I'm
Yeah.
loving it, dude. And I just my hair's feeling fuller, my skin vibrant. I'm just more energy. And I started thinking about it. I'm like, I'm not as hungry, and I've been doing a lot of fasting. And I'm like, dude, is it possible that you really using the light therapy, your mitochondria absorbs the energy, right? And then eat minimally, not as much, sparingly, eat good, healthy, nutritious, packed meals, and then just have clean water. And that could be the ticket, in my mind, to a disease-free long life, bro. I'm just all kinds of thoughts and theories are jumping in my mind now. Welcome to the
Yeah, you
show,
get it.
Jonathan.
Oh, thanks so much, David. Awesome. But I love the way your mind's going with this. It's like absolutely that vision is so powerful because you're just supporting all the key functions of the body by doing what you're doing, and it's all about light. And once people realize that, we've all the debates around diet, it's like everyone's missing the real issue here because whatever diet is best is the one that allows you to absorb light the best. But the point being, like, start as a basis with light and then work downstream from there.
Now, this girl that I'm showing here, like you told me 3 inches to 3 to 6 inches away from the panel.
Yeah.
I've been feeling it just as well from her the distance she's at, and
Yeah.
I'm a little closer than she is when I sit next to it. But I put my face right up to it sometimes, and I absorb the energy. Dude, I cannot believe how well I'm feeling. And the stress and pressure that I'm under right now with my parents, my dad being in ICU, my mom having dementia, I'm juggling so much. I can't believe like how good I'm feeling. Like I think this is like just tipping me over the that edge where I'm able to like really feel healthy, bro. I don't feel the emotional decline or the like it says here neurological decline. I don't feel the stress compounding as much as I should, if that makes sense.
Wow. I mean, that just means so much to me because we became friends, and just seeing you happy like means more than anything, right? So, just because I spend a lot of the day just talking to friends and family members or people that connect with me. It's not part of my, like, I don't, it's not how I make money. I just kind of help out, people for free, and and so, and you even connecting with someone, I was going back and forward with that person today. But like, these are things that make me really happy, right? So just hearing that, it's enough for me. That's just awesome.
I don't know, man. I look back on everything that's been, obviously now I know the whole medical industry to me is just well, it's fluff tube, so I got to be careful what I say, but it's just so many things wrong with it. And I started thinking about how important the sun really is and how they're doing their best to say it's bad for us, right? Everything that involves the sun is bad for us. But if you have these panels in your house, no matter what they do to the skies, no matter what they're putting in your food, I feel like this can combat anything. I just feel like if you're feeding your cells the energy it needs with this red light therapy, I would imagine you're going to be winning the game.
Yeah. Well, cases like yours are just such good examples. Uh, there was a so many studies that are showing these exact type of scenarios that you're talking about, and I'm thinking of what I can and can't say on this platform, but like you look at the long, I guess
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
an established thing. There was a study that was done on 62 participants, and they had in with 2 sessions, and they were 64 to 84 minutes long. They all went into remission from acute symptoms. And then after 4 sessions, then all the other symptoms that were related all completely cleared, except for 2 out of the 62. And that was within 1 week. So did the other 2 get cleared within the following weeks? And a lot of people had their lives ruined after that, that what happened over the last few years. So you look at that and how various the symptoms were, and they go down through digestive disorders, neurological problems, breathing, and respiratory conditions. They list all the major, major declining, health declining issues, and they cleared on all fronts in that period of time. So it's like it concurs with your story.
I remember there was a guy that came into the gym when I was training with Evander Holyfield. I'm talking in Bill Benton's gym in Houston, Texas. This guy came in. I'm not going to say his name, but he was paranoid and freaked out about what he was doing to heal people. And he had this huge machine, and I think Holyfield. I'm not 100% sure, but he accredited Holyfield to healing. Holyfield had a heart problem, and he accredited it to this machine that you would just put your arm into. And there was a hole in the machine. It was a big metal machine with a hole, and it would charge your blood cells. And they would talk about how your blood cells would stick to each other and clot and do all this stuff. And this would just, I guess, recharge them or magnetize them to where they would start bouncing off each other and flow freely. And the healing would speed up in your body. And I remember using this machine and feeling like $1,000,000 for like 5 years. Like I couldn't believe what this machine did to me. And ever since that machine, that guy disappeared, by the way. And we never saw him again. Like I couldn't, his phone went to voicemail back. And this was like, gosh, 20 years ago. And I've never seen anything complimentary to that machine ever in my life. Like I always wondered what happened to the guy, what happened to the machine. I thought the concept he showed me, he opened the trunk to his car and pulled out just a briefcase full of testimonials about how that machine, different diseases. And I was just like, wow, this is gotta be, but he was getting threats on his life, by the way. So that machine, I don't know ever what happened to, whatever happened to that guy. I don't, and this is all, I'm going to say this is all allegedly, but this is the next thing that I've seen where I've been like, it makes sense. It adds up to me. I'm feeling it. I understand. I've followed a lot of people's work in the science community, and I've talked to people like even David Wilcock that talk about light energy and light code and light therapy, and how this is like, to me, makes all the sense in the world for your cells to get reactivated from. Am I making sense here? So since that machine, I've seen nothing even comparable to it until this. And I've been using it, and I'm like, man, this is it. This is, I think this is the answer. I mean, I sit under that machine, and then, shortly afterwards, I'm like, man, I got more energy. I feel better. It doesn't feel like when you go into a tanning booth and you've been microwaved. I come out of there, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. I feel warm, tingly. I feel good. And then the rest of the day, I'm just going strong, man. And then it improves. It improves the weeks and days, and then weeks. It just keeps improving. And I don't know. I got, you sent me 3 panels, so I'm real happy with all this stuff. I'm using it to the max, bro. I'm just wondering, is there any way I can overuse it? Like get too much of this?
Potentially, yes. Like, for example, to do a 3 or 4 hour session, I just quoted a study that had 64 to 84-minute long sessions, which is not typical. And so it's not it's not what people think it is when they think, oh no, like this is a real problem. It's the same way you could be out in the sun all day and you're okay. But because it's so therapeutic, it is possible that you could have some swelling, like you've kind of done a lot of good, but you've for example, part of the reason why it's getting red light therapy is getting used instead of liposuction and as a substitute and works more effectively in a lot of cases, that is because it's busting open fat cells. And
it's busting them open.
Yes, correct. That's what the
I
clinical
thought,
study is.
okay, so here was my theory. I thought it was just because you were getting more energy and you didn't feel like you had to eat as much.
Yeah, interesting. Well, it's that too. And it's, electromagnetic waves producing reactive oxygen species. And these oxygen species like singlet oxygen, they're targeting dying cells that are just sitting there. They're called senescent cells that are not working properly, and they're clearing these out. So that's true. That's all happening. And then it's oxygenating all the healthy cells, helping them to regenerate. It's regenerating stem cells. It's helping the stem cells proliferate at faster rates and making more of them, all clinically proven. But then this one that I'm talking about is actually splitting open the fat cells and causing them to then be dissolved. Yeah.
Do you have to have it on a certain frequency? You told me to put it on all three, which is what I've been using.
Yeah. Which in this case is 8 wavelengths, which is 486, 630, 660, 810, 850, 940, 980, and 1060. So you're using all of those wavelengths. It'd be interesting. I could go back over the data and look at like which particular ones are like busting open fat cells. I think that it may be more across the board. If I recall correctly, that what those clinical studies are showing is that simply like light therapies have the propensity to do this, which would be like all of those.
And inflammation. I don't feel like my inflammation has been that bad. I take many different supplements that people send me, but I feel like I've been able to start sprinting on that. Dude, I haven't sprinted on the treadmill in about 10 years. Like it's been
Wow.
a long time. I've had bad back surgery and I just thought those days were over. Now I'm back to sprinting. I've been sprinting for the last month, but really the last few weeks. But my knees were swelling, my back would swell a little bit, and I'd have to take 3 or 4 days off and then do it again. But now I'm able to do it every other day. And it's like, bro, I'm going at an 8.5, 9.5 for a quarter mile, sometimes half a mile, and then I walk. Then I'll do about another 8.5, 9. And I haven't been doing that since training, and this stuff is I'm really amazed by this because I have doctor friends that have told me about this. And I just kind of brushed them off. I'm like, oh gosh, another gimmick. Why should people believe this is not a gimmick? Like, do you have slides you can show that maybe
Yeah.
show the science?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So to answer that, let me see what angle to take on that. So these studies for starters just show that it can't be right. And I previously we've gone through a lot of cancer studies, and those ones are really important because that's understood as like a done deal in a lot of these cases. And then these are studies that go deep, like bone cancers, lung cancers, hard to treat, inoperable, incurable cancers, red light therapy being heavily proven in clinical studies that are all found on PubMed. It's just gotten way past speculation, and that may be the case like 120 years ago, but even back then there was a Nobel Prize won in 1903 by Niels Finsen for light therapy for disease. But so pulling up like I'm to answer that, looking at okay, light therapies, why are they working, what's the mechanism, and this understanding around mitochondria, how they're the powerhouse of the cells, and how if through these electromagnetic waves, the bodies and the mitochondria then being fed with what they need to produce ATP, which is adenosine triphosphate, and that's just it's like getting to the like nucleus of what how our bodies operate and how we generate energy and heal. And so they're like you just look at, okay, you'll love this, think about this, man. You look at salamanders and axolotls. The reason why they're being studied so much is because they can regenerate entire limbs. If half their eyes cut off, it grows back. And you
Right.
notice that with the liver it does that. It'll, like, if it's cut, it'll just grow back with the liver. But then why is the rest of our body lacking that? And the answer is simply that we're just lacking the vital frequencies to be able to do that. And so light therapy is really tapping into that. I guess one of the studies I could cite on that would be the Birmingham University study that found that with a spinal cord injury in rats, they found after a minute of exposure per day, they were able to show that it was even regenerative of the spine, neuroprotective, and just that 1 minute of exposure increased cell viability by 45%, which was yeah. So I mean, and cell viability was, I mean, well, it's like the effectiveness and the functioning of the cells was improved by 45%. And so if your cells, your health, it comes down to what's going on at a cellular level. And it's, if you want to try to harness that, any diet is really just, it's talking about, okay, well, let's try to get the right nutrients in, but it's so that my cells can operate and do their functioning. If my cells are healthy, then my body's healthy. And this is where we're, getting, red light is getting down to a quantum level. And because it's dealing with, and I'm not talking about like quantum, mechanics. I'm talking about quantum science, mechanics, physics, but not talking about woo-woo stuff. I'm talking
Right.
about, when you're dealing with fractional sizes that are, beyond picometers, smaller than nanometers, smaller than picometers, that are, based on the way that the atoms are spinning, and things that are, there's still theories on why they're working. They're understood perfectly to be robust and to work. But and it's just a fascinating science. This one here was this is mesenchymal stem cells. This particular study was bone density. So this one was showing with moving this screen. Hold on. Okay, so this one was using. This study looked at how red light from LED lights can affect the growth and bone forming ability of rat stem cells. Previous research suggested that low level light can help cells grow and produce essential substances. This study treated rat stem cells with red light at different strengths and durations. The findings showed that red light significantly increased stem cells growth. Okay, so once you get this part, then you kind of get it all, because people that are spending money on stem cells are maybe
Yeah.
putting up $20,000. You and I have done it, and then you might do it once in a year or once every few years, or if you're super wealthy, maybe you can do it every 3 months or something, but like not every day. And you see, okay, now if you're and you're just putting stem cells in, but you're not changing the environment, you're not feeding the stem cells you already had with anything. So hence why it's so superior. There's not even a comparison. The findings showed that red light significantly increased the stem cells growth, especially when there were fewer stem cells. So the diet that you're talking about, like eating pretty lean, and more importantly, I'm not saying that people necessarily need to restrict what they're eating, because they could eat a lot of the right foods, but the windows in which you're eating, if you're intermittent fasting and doing red light therapy, it's amazing because you're producing more stem cells. And then that production of those stem cells, then when you're doing that red light therapy in the morning, and if you were doing it in the morning, which makes sense why your eye health it had improved, because the study showed specifically it was a 17% improvement in eyesight when it was done in the morning. But it was only if you're over 40, because this was particularly for like myopia that was caused by it was accelerated in the degeneration by age. But it was 3 minutes. In 1 week, it showed a 17% eye improvement, but it had to be the morning hours.
Gotcha.
And then anyway, so just I reference that because I'm thinking about stem cells, the fact that you just produce them while you're sleeping. Now you're feeding them with what they need. The best results came from using multiple light treatments at high strength. So red light at 630 nanometers also boosted the cell's ability to form bone by increasing levels of specific markers. Overall, the study found that using red light multiple times can enhance both the stem cells growth and bone forming potential, depending on how many stem cells or how many cells are present. And the study is here, and you can see that the screenshot there, which shows this bone growth, like things that are your longevity, all these types of things will relate to bone density, and then clear sign that there's health is being achieved. I'll let
Man, this
you
is
kind of
incredible.
take the stage.
Well, I mean, this kind of thinks this is like a precursor to like the coming med beds that everyone's talking about. I would imagine light therapy. So to me, it's like sound, like vibration, and light therapy seems to me like those are the things that these beds are going to have. That's just an opinion. But I
Yeah.
also remember when you were talking about ATP, how, and I don't know if they're still selling it at the nutrition stores, but I remember that that hit pretty big for a couple of years. the ATP drops that you'd put under your tongue or whatever. And I can't imagine that that even worked. Do you know what I'm talking about? The nutrition stores when they were selling the ATP stuff and all
Oh
that. But
yeah.
yeah. Like to
I
me,
don't
I you know,
I don't know that one, but I've seen things like that, and yeah, and I don't know, right? Because it's kind of like, well, like, I can get this to you in a pill, and it's, I guess it's possible, but I I think you need light, I think you need exposure, right? To the
right.
otherwise, how do
Well,
you
yeah, but that's what I'm getting at. Basically, is
yeah,
that to me it seems like this is a no-brainer to me, and I feel like all I'm here to say is I wanted to do a follow-up video with you because this stuff works, and I, I love it, and I really appreciate the panels, and I think anybody who's really health conscious or trying to beat a disease or just want to look younger or lose weight, this is it, man. I'm not saying stay away, but you got to keep going to the gym. Vitamin E to me is the most important vitamin there is, but why not add some red light therapy in there and get ahead of the game, right, Jonathan? That's what I think.
so
I
true.
mean, I'm sorry. I just to me this is a no-brainer and I enjoy doing it. I love to relax under the lamp and just take it easy. And you don't have to go to these clinics because these clinics, what are they charging? Like 25, $30 a session, even more than
Uh,
that?
well, I mean, if you just do the search on Google, it'll tell you $80 to $200 is typical per session.
What?
I know.
And it's just saying you just go in there and you sit in a room and how long is the session? 20 minutes?
Yeah, or 30 or 15, depending on what clinic you're at. And then you got to make sure you make your time typically, depending. And then you got to, line up. And so it's not really
See,
an
it
option.
goes this all goes back to like, the science, right? How the sun is bad for you all of a sudden. The sun's terrible for you. I mean, we all know what they're trying to do, folks. We know what they're trying to do. Put it in your house. I love this stuff. Um, I think. Oh, by the way, I think that well, I'll talk to you about it off the air, but I'm gonna need another panel, by the way. So
Okay. I got you,
this
man. I
stuff is
got
just
you.
like yeah. So
Somebody you care about, I'm sure.
yeah, exactly. So I
Yeah.
mean, we could talk about it more, but I think, folks, what's my code again? Is it
Yeah, Nino. Nino.
Nino? All right, cool. Yeah, if you want to get on this stuff, folks, I highly advise it, and I'm very I love it, dude. I'm in on it. Is there anything else that we could talk about on here about this
Well,
stuff?
we should absolutely,
Okay.
and you should tell them the site as well to go to, which is myredlight.com.
MyRedLight.com. Use code Nino. Use code Nino, folks. But I wanted you to show the frequencies. Do you have
Yeah,
that slide here?
yeah, of course, yeah, no, yeah, like you get this stuff and you love it. Yeah, so this slide here, just pulling that up. Um, I think
This is impressive, folks. Look at this. This is really
oh
cool.
yeah,
This is
yeah,
cool.
so you're certainly a
But the
fan
frequencies I'm
of the
using does it
mechanics.
all, right? The frequencies you
Yeah,
told me
yeah,
to. Okay, cool.
you've got all of them on it because like typically, with these devices, it's most devices will only have maybe like two wavelengths. Maybe if you're like if you've kind of hit the jackpot, you've got like four. We put eight,
There it
right?
is.
So we kind of beat the industry kind of in that, but or stay in the front and led the industry in that way. Um, but then typically, like if you have a device that has red and near infrared, there'll be typically a setting where you can either put one or the other or both. And in this case, it's if you put them all, they just somebody showed me a study where there's any reason why you wouldn't use certain wavelengths. It's just don't be afraid of the sun. And then it goes in the argument of like kind of like a full spectrum, in that this in some ways is like full spectrum and targeted in one, because you're still trying to get a lot of the it's called the optical window, which is basically between the 600 to 1200. That's the optical window where everything is like the benefits are
Now that blue
unbelievable,
light right
right? So
there, the
we've been talking
480.
about yeah.
What is that? That's just the bare
It's
minimum you should use, or what?
no, it's just different. So if you look at a rainbow, we've got all the colors in the rainbow, and so if you see blue, if you see that color, you're seeing in this case 400 nanometers of penetration. So it's showing you how deep it's going into your skin, which is really fascinating. That by the color, I could tell you how deep it's going. It doesn't mean that it only lands there. In this case, it's getting to the epidermis and the dermis, but it's regulating things that only blue light really leads in doing, which is circadian rhythm, skin rejuvenation, acne, and any kind of bacterial skin. By the way, I've been meaning to say it, but your skin does look really good, and your face,
Thanks,
you know,
man.
your health, you do look good. Has anyone mentioned that? Obviously, people
Yes,
would say,
every
"Yeah,
day.
you're going to say that."
Every day.
Yeah,
I went to the gym yesterday, and my buddy Vic saw me, and he was like, "Damn, bro, you getting younger?" I was like, "Thank you." So that made me feel good, especially with all the stress that I'm under right now. But I know I
wow.
felt really good. But I would imagine the 980 or the 940, 980 to, or I mean, it looks like 660 all the way to the 1060. That working at a cellular level?
Well, yeah, well, all of it is, right?
Okay,
So,
okay.
yeah, because there's cells in your skin. And so the epidermis, the dermis, it's, this is like the first layers of the skin. It's really concentrated there. So hence why it's best for certain things related to skin. And it's even the best one for neonatal care. So babies in the womb, 480 is the one that I've found most studies indicating how beneficial it is, which is fascinating. But I'm sure that the others are also super beneficial. It's just about digging into more of the studies. But like, yeah, to answer that, so 630, 660, 810, like, this is red here, 630 and 660. Now this is near infrared. You can't even see this. So you could have a device on that has a near infrared and you can't even see it. And so you're like, what am I doing? I'm just standing in front of this thing doing nothing. Like you feel like silly. But thankfully the red is shining at the same time, so you don't feel so silly because you're like, well, at least I can see this. Um, but like if you stand in front of like a Rife machine or a Tesla coil or something like that, you certainly can't see that at all.
Dude, I
But yeah,
enjoy it. I listen to some music. I put on my playlist and I just kick back, man. I love it. I mean, I feel like I'm doing like I'm charging my body, man. It's like it's so cool. I don't know.
yeah.
It's just like going into a tanning salon, man.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, so you can't see these, but they're doing like they're going the deepest, right? So 1060 is amazing for eye health, but so is the 810, like tinnitus, and I'll show all the conditions. But these are all these near infrared from 810 up. 940 was actually that study was using 940. It was 945, which I mean this is very very close, and so it's the same ballpark, and it was using one of these two 600 wavelengths. So they were using those, and so they were clinically proven there. I've been mentioning this lymphoma study where all the three participants went into complete remission. It was a pilot study, so it was designed to be small, but they all went into remission in 1 week. That
Wow.
was using 630. It's on PubMed, so just look up pilot study, 2006 lymphoma
So
study.
people
But it
can
also
cross-reference this, go look this up and find all these
they
studies for
should.
themselves. Okay.
They should put any condition that they are, battling or a loved one battles, like that you even thought was, incurable, and just put it into Google. Even, you could use Google Scholar, you can use DuckDuckGo, or you could just use Google and then just put it in and put your red light, the condition you're talking about, and then look at all the studies, and it would just blow your mind. And then if it's not the exact condition that you or a loved one are battling, but it's very similar, then you've got a mechanism there and you've got like a thesis. But in most cases, you'll find like for any and every condition. So like, as you can see, it was, epidermis, dermis, subcutaneous tissue, muscle, bone, and interior tissues. And I've showed some of this before talking about weight loss, fat burning, cellulite reduction, metabolism. So the different wavelengths are interfacing with all these mechanisms because they can, they're all interfacing with the mitochondria, with the production of adenosine triphosphate, ATP. They're all operating off the oxygenation of cells that's happening through the electromagnetic waves, causing the body to produce its own oxygen. So the body is reacting. And so hence why it's unique to you. And so with everything, like if I take a supplement, I'm kind of thinking, I hope my body can absorb this. I hope it's the right thing for me. There's no one, everyone responds to light, right? Everyone.
Right.
I've never seen it. There's, I showed you a study where 2 out of the 62 didn't, after 4 sessions didn't go in. They did clear of the acute symptoms after 2 sessions, but in terms of complete remission after 4 sessions, 2 out of the 62 didn't go into that. So you'd say they were maybe a little less responsive, or their issue was a little more concerning. But then a week later, another week later, I would assume that they all would have gone into remission. It's just a 1 week study, so you don't get to hear the end of that. But you could assume, considering all the other 60 went into remission, but like hair growth, sun damage, wrinkles, fine lines, droopy eyelids, under eye circles, broken capillaries, and anti-aging, acne
Well, I
scars,
mean, I would
rosacea.
imagine scars. Yeah, there's scars right there, scar tissue. Yeah.
Yeah, which is interesting because you'll see studies on myocarditis. One is out of Tel Aviv University, showed up to 80% reduction in heart muscle scarring using red light
Wow.
in with combination of stem cells, though. It was at like a bone stem cell. But like I'm saying, if you do the fasting, if you do different things, you can just produce stem cells. And then when you've got the light shining on the areas, then you can cause that regeneration to that area of the body. Then we added in one here like on oral health because a lot of people having to get root canals and things like that. One, just, don't. And then if you've got them, get them out. It's so important with a biological dentist. But then look at how you can regenerate your gums so that they grow because look at the future like that exists for people because of oral health and then the cancer risk associated with that. So and then eye health, cognitive performance, mental stamina, muscle building, asthma, depression, anxiety. And that's you talked about how well you're feeling.
Oh yeah.
And that's probably because your hormones are balancing. Those people that are like listening that are saying, well, they've got antibody levels that are too high with their thyroid. They need like therapies like this because red light has shown to be regenerative of the thyroid, which is amazing. And then you need balance. A lot of people, feel like they've got no other option but to get on TRT, testosterone replacement therapy.
Right. And I've been
This
off that.
Good for you. Well, there you go. And you're feeling amazing. Like, cause it's causing you to produce testosterone naturally, which is epic. But
It
yeah,
is epic.
stem cell regeneration, Parkinson's, hypertension, liver fun, breast cancer, like any one of these conditions, like the fertility studies were amazing with sperm mobility. It like
Wow.
just was life changing in the clinical studies where it like the study because they're often with placebos. The group that gets the real therapy, the group that get the placebo is pretty sad, really. But like the ones that got it, like their sperm and mobility and motility, it just was exponential in comparison. And so it does when we look at the threat of infertility that's really coming upon the human race, that you see ways out of this for our children. And that's why when you have a device like this in your home, get your children in front of it. It's just as important as the food they're eating, arguably more. Obviously they can't live without eating food, and I would say they can't thrive without having light.
Wow.
So yeah, that's all of that, man. And that's the 480 right there. See the circadian rhythm. So nothing is going to help with this sleep better than the blue. How's your sleep been?
It's been good. I mean, I still, people got to understand, folks. I've been under intense stress and pressure with the ICU stuff going on with my dad. So I am on limited sleep because I have to be at the hospital all the time. So that's the only reason I'm losing sleep right now. But I am feeling pretty damn good considering all factors. So, man, I don't know. I say give it a shot, folks. A lot of people are saying that are you backed up on the orders right now, or how
Oh
that's
yeah,
going?
sure. Yeah, no, it's going good. And so we've been fulfilling, and so sometimes what's happening is that we're getting the orders out, and as we speak, every day we're fulfilling, supplying the need, and the
Okay,
customer
so then,
service is super responsive. Go ahead.
Jonathan, you'll pay attention to the comments and respond to the people that need whatever
Yeah,
they need.
absolutely. And the best thing, obviously, is to direct people straight to the customer service, right? So
Okay.
I'll give the information on that because like just to to make the comments
Right.
more
I
about
know you
people
don't want to.
engaging
You'll
in
have your
that.
hands
Not
full, but
yeah. Oh no. Well, like it's so important. Like we've got over a dozen full time people answering the phones, and so the number is 1-888-438-9825. And then the email, the best one is support@welloflife.com. So Red Life is the red light company, but it's under the banner of the Well of Life company. So support@welloflife.com. And so yeah, absolutely. So it's very important for people to understand that. But it's something that if you were getting something that wasn't was just run of the mill, or that you could find or do anywhere, then it's like, well, it's not worth waiting or whatever. And we just put like the expected delivery time on the page so that people can be aware of that. So they know that they'll be waiting a few weeks. But so but the benefit there is that you're then at the front of that queue, and then you're waiting for something that, for a few weeks, but then, and some will be, fulfilled, quicker than that, but and then will be responsive through that process, and people are covered by the 60-day money back guarantee, like, so, full
Okay. So
refund
they do
if
get a
people
60,
want it again.
60-day money back guarantee?
Correct, from the time that they receive it. Correct.
You're not going to want it, folks. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Jonathan, thank you. It's my red light therapy, correct?
Yeah, my red light. No, myredlight.com.
MyRedLight.com. I'll have the link down there at the bottom, folks. Hit the link and use code Nino. Get started. This is the best stuff I've ever used. So, and that's a huge statement coming from me. Jonathan, thank you so much for joining me once again.
Thank you, Nino. It's been a pleasure. It's always an honor to be sharing alongside you. And look, folks, I'm excited for the results that you guys can get using these therapies. And it's, at the end of the day, it's your life, your family that matters. And like, get ahead of what's going on and make an investment in yourself. And we've got some great opportunities there where people can even do it on payment plans. And so
Oh,
it will,
perfect.
like, yeah, like that money that you're going to go spend by going
To
into
the
the clinic, even
clinics.
just one session, will be the month payment. And then you'll own it at the end, after that 6 months, 12 months. And then you've got it for life, and you don't have to keep reordering like you do supplements. It's a one and done, and it's got 100,000 hour rated lifespan, which, lasts a full lifetime, even for you and a whole family. So it's just, super high quality. That's why it's worth making that investment in yourself. It's worth, just waiting that couple weeks, whatever it is. And just know that we stand by our service. We've been around for a long time serving. We've got an amazing reputation because we've just been in this space, serving this, in this community
Well,
for so long.
I'm glad I met you.
No,
I appreciate it, Jonathan. Thank you so much for joining me.
thanks, brother.